You can read people, and you say you're an empath. But what empaths are really just really highly sensitive people that have a highly sensitive amygdala, which is this part of your brain, your fear center. It usually comes from the necessity to be able to sense the environment. The necessity being generational trauma being handed down through your DNA and epigenetics, or your own personal trauma from your childhood. It could be little trauma, big trauma, whatever. But your amygdala gets huge and you get really sensitive. Your body gives off an electromagnetic signature through its torus field. That signature is your frequency based on your emotional state. You can read that emotional state in other people, but you can also read them when you're speaking to them by the words they use and their tone. If you're listening to them on the phone, you'll hear tone changes, micro tone changes. I was listening to a podcast where somebody was talking about a friend, and this friend of theirs only wanted something to do with money. And when they were talking about this friend, their pitch changed with the word friend. And so I immediately knew that person was not a friend. That person was somebody they did not respect or really care for because of the pitch and the change in that tone. So not only do you have pitches and tone changes, but you're going to have micro expression changes. So when you're talking to somebody and they talk about something that's emotional, you're going to see the expression change around their eyes. That's why they say the eyes are the windows to the soul or whatever else, but you will see those micro expression changes. And if you're with them, you're also going to be able to feel what they're feeling through your electromagnetic torus field, broadcasting and receiving their frequency. It's broadcasting your frequency and it's receiving their frequency so that you know what they're feeling. This is why it's really hard for empaths and neurodivergent people to hold conversations, to be able to function in society, because they're following the rules of conversation, but there's this instinct inside them when they're speaking to somebody that doesn't match. So the person can be saying things, but it doesn't match what that neurodivergent person is feeling from that person. You can tell when somebody's lying. You can feel it. Their emotional tone, their pitch is off ever so slightly. And you can tell by that feeling, and you can tell by the pitch and the tone. So when neurodivergent people are trying to function in life, they hear the lie, they feel the lie, but everything that person's saying is completely opposite. And this is normal. Humans function at a white lie level and they mask for safety because we don't have a tribe. We're singular people and we're scared. So we go out and we test the waters and it takes time. But this is specifically why neurodivergent people have trouble in society and trouble communicating, because they feel the truth, they feel the lie, and they have to constantly juggle in their brain space what that person actually means and what to do with it. And it can be very confusing and it takes a lot of energy. So you read people not only by their emotion that they're emitting, or by their tone pitches, or by their micro expressions, but everything they say to you is a clue about their insecurities and who they are. When they comment on your stuff on social media, like they comment on mine, they comment on looks, they comment on my fears as if they know them, and all they're doing is showing me their own insecurities. So when they talk about, oh, you're using a filter, you're just scared of being old and you're going to need creams and plastic surgery, that comes from within them. They don't know who I am. They don't know what I care about plastic surgery or creams or otherwise. They care about plastic surgery. They care about their looks. And it's not just the looks they care about, but it's their external environment. See, when you know that they're commenting on looks and that they have a wound about their looks, then you can tell all kinds of things just from that one sentence. They comment on your looks, so they care about their looks. And their looks are what gives them purpose. Their looks are what makes them feel secure and insecure, meaning that they don't have a secure sense of self and they do not love themselves because they are basing everything on the external environment and how they look on the external environment of themselves. Then this tells me that they grew up with parents or caregivers that didn't bolster their self-esteem, which then tells me they probably grew up in a poor environment. So see how all this leads one to another? If you know what these things mean and what one thing leads to another when you're doing some pattern recognition, when you're connecting the dots, you automatically know everything about this person from that one sentence telling me that I was insecure about my looks and I need plastic surgery and a filter and all this other stuff. That means they're concerned about that. That means they think they need plastic surgery. That means that they feel insecure about their looks. That means that they had caregivers that didn't bolster their self-esteem, which statistically means they probably grew up in a single person household and were poor. So you can get a ton of information by one sentence if you follow the pattern to where it leads. Of course, you have to know statistically things like, how people react when they come from one person households. You have to know all these things about psychology, but you know intrinsically what it means on the inside. So you can tell. And then it might be a curse because then from now on, when you go out, you're going to be reading the truth. And then what you're going to be hearing from their mouth is something completely different. And you're going to have to separate the two. It makes it incredibly difficult to form attachments and relationships because you have to ignore things that come in when people are talking. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles. If you want superpowers, they come with their own baggage. Hope this helps.